Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports and the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Paulo Del Rosario. Tonight, we'll bring in the super rookies of Chery, Tiggo, and we'll prepare for the exciting Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Well, it's the calm before the storm of the NBA Finals, and since we're at the home stretch of the season, we're bringing in Coach Willie Wilson to give us his top 5 players in the league. And this is in the league overall, Coach. That's right, not just the NBA Finals, right?
No, this is the whole league. Obviously, we got a whole lot of recency bias here, but that's how we are wired. So I'm ready to shoot.
And speaking of recency bias, I have to just give props for the meantime to the hairdresser of Coach Willie Wilson, who has allowed him to come on here looking like a K-pop idol. Oh my gosh, you're getting a lot of biases here today. So let's go focus first on your number 5 pick of the top 5 NBA stars here. And at number 5, you picked the reigning MVP. At number 5, Joel Embiid, your choice here.
All right, you saw the reigning MVP's regular season numbers, but then you go ahead and take a look at his playoff numbers. And I go by the creed, you're only as good as your last game.
Yeah.
And as we saw, Joel Embiid, he hobbled through that last game or that last playoff stretch. So therefore, I put him at number 5.
And you know, Joel Embiid and the Sixers, obviously a disappointing season, given the fact that they were eliminated the way that they were. But you talk about recency bias, you're only as good as your last game. Jason Tatum hurt for his last game in the playoffs. He's your fourth best player in the NBA today. Why Jason Tatum in particular, even if they did lose in a Game 7?
Well, I got to look at the body of work that he did in the entire playoffs, not just that last game. Obviously, we know that on the very first play of the game, he injures his ankle. So therefore, he has to carry the team only on one good ankle.
Yeah.
But remember, he had that big 51-point game. He willed his team to that Game 7 win against, the MVP. So just for the simple fact that he had the whole body of work, ended the regular season on the first team, All-NBA team, I think he is very deserving of a top 5 finish at number 4.
You know, Jason Tatum, a lot of people were wondering, what if he didn't turn that ankle in the very first play of game number 7? It might have been different, but then history is history. It's interesting that, just a quick spoiler here, no Miami Heat stars in the top 5 of Coach Willie Wilson's picks. And at number 3 here, we have another player who was eliminated a bit earlier, but you placed him a bit higher than Jason Tatum. We have, from the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry. And a lot of people, I think, when they see what he's done throughout his career, definitely top 5 amongst the current players. But this season, why is he in your top 3?
Well, again, I talk about body of work. Look at what he did in that first round versus the Sacramento Kings. We talk about that historic Game 7, the first 50-point Game 7 in NBA playoff history, until it was beat by number 4, Jason Tatum. But we talk about the previous season, Finals MVP. Mm-hmm. Maybe we could have got a little bit more of that magic from him in these playoffs, if not for, maybe a not 100% Klay Thompson, maybe the third member of the Splash Bros, the Pool, who you like to call him, decided not to show up in that second round. But still, Steph did everything in his power to carry his team. It just wasn't enough.
And it feels like there are moments where we sometimes forget that Steph Curry's as good as the way he actually is. Is he in your mind still a guy that we kind of overlook sometimes as a guy who's highly impactful over, I'm guessing, the LeBrons, the Giannis's, the Embiids? Is he still a bit underrated as a superstar in the league?
Well, I don't feel that he is underrated at all. I mean, he's still considered the greatest shooter ever on this planet. And that in and of itself right there just says how, he is perceived in today's fandoms, possibly even a top 3 point guard of all time.
Now we're going to focus on the guy that I'm going to guess really destroys all recency bias argument or recency bias reasons that anyone could give, because your number 2 guy is Giannis Antetokounmpo who was eliminated famously in the first round by the Miami Heat. So, given that he was eliminated in the first round, why is he still in your top 2?
Okay, well, look at the top 3 finish in the MVP voting, and then go ahead and take a look at the numbers that he had during the regular season. I know the numbers dipped, but then again, he went against that mind-boggling defense of the Miami Heat and their genius head coach and Eric Spoelstra, who had the perfect game plan for him. It just so happened that the co-stars around him did not, they didn't help him in a way wherein they are going to free him up for those drives. All Miami had to do against the Milwaukee Bucks in that first round was just, we're going to pack the paint, we're going to force you into tough shots, we're going to force you to kick it out, which he did. It just so happens that his shooters were shooting blanks in that series.
Giannis also missed a bit of time due to the injury in that series in particular. You take a look at what Giannis is. Do you feel that it's a bigger argument for him that the Bucks were that bad without him on the floor?
Oh yeah, that just right there makes my point that without the former MVP, the former, the NBA champion, they don't really have a direction. So I think that is something that they're going to have to figure out moving forward. Do we have somebody on this roster that can carry us in the event that Giannis is out?
Okay, so on this show, we always say, or we encourage all of our analysts, all of our friends here, to fly their flags, tell us who they are fans of. So in this list of the top 5 players for Coach Willie Wilson, we asked him for his honorable mention. And yet, the diehard Laker fan, that is Coach Willie Wilson, has not picked a Laker in even the top 6 of his all-NBA, all the NBA players out there, the top list right now. Who is your honorable mention?
Well, my honorable mention right now at this point, all recency bias involved, would have to be Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
Again, Jimmy Butler, with everything that he's done in these playoffs, not to mention what he's done in the regular season, he still made that second team All-NBA. But what pushed him up into my honorable mention and on the cusp of making it into my top 5 is his performance in these playoffs. He doesn't get that nickname, Jimmy Buckets, for nothing.
It's Jimmy Buckets, it's Himmy Butler. There's just so many ways to put it, and all the Boston fans know it in particular. So the number 1 pick, or the top 1 player in your mind, I think it's no surprise to anyone. It's the Joker, Nikola Jokic, who could bring the first ever championship to the Mile High City, to Denver. Why is he number 1? For all the obvious reasons, but I want to hear you say it.
Well, when I was here the last time and we talked about my top 5 moments, and what did I name for Jokic? I named this whole entire playoff run as a top moment in and of itself. He's averaging almost a 30-point triple-double, which is virtually unheard of in these playoffs. He puts the team on his back. Whatever you need, he can do it. Get a bucket inside, mid-range with that awkward step back.
Yep.
Contested 3-point shots off of one leg. You name it. There is nothing that he cannot do.
Well, the Sombor Shuffle is going to be in full flow. Coach Willie, really appreciate all the time, and I cannot wait to see if any of our analyst predictions are going to be right for the upcoming finals. And it's going to be interesting considering that Denver, should they win the championship, would be the first Western Conference team outside the state of California and Texas to win since 1979. So let's see, history could be made. Coach Willie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, the NBA Finals between the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat kicks off tomorrow. Never miss an NBA Finals moment with Signal TV. Catch games live on NBA TV Philippines.
Welcome to Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
We're all in the finals. 10 on the floor, millions on the edge. Half of us are about to learn the difference between champagne and just pain. This is a test for big fans and small forwards of will and emotions. 48 minutes, long enough for everyone to feel everything. Let's see how fast they push the pace and how quickly you go from angry to amazed, from anxiety to assurance. Denial will lead to determination. Hunger will become hysteria. Just when we think we felt every emotion possible, we realize that was only one game. But it takes 4 wins.
Only way to do it. Only way to do it.
To become champion.
From my hometown.
Champagne or just pain? Or join the fun tomorrow on June 2. As Signal holds its first NBA Finals viewing party at Buffalo Wild Wings in Glorieta. Who will draw first blood? We'll see you there. After the break, we check in with the new faces on the Chery Tiggo Crossovers lineup. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to The Game. It's a new month, and with that comes new beginnings for these rookies in the PBL. Now, we are now joined by Chery Tiggo's Joimi Cagande, Cesc Robles, Imee, Hernandez, and Laure, all looking very fly in their Chery Tiggo tops. And thank you very much for joining us here today. I know that it has been a whirlwind past few weeks for you girls, considering, of course, yung decision nyo to join Chery. And before we move on to yung pro lives ninyo, I want to talk about yung college lives ninyo and, you know, the lives that you left behind, kumbaga. Joimi, you came into this. I remember just researching and talking about trying to figure out yung decision-making process mo to get here. At sinabi mo that you're mentally ready to move on. How much mental strength did it take to actually move on from the UAAP?
Ako po kasi coming from injury. Since parang isang taon lang ako nagdaro sa UAAP. And parang yung recovery ko is about 3 years. So, for me, just observing the team, leaving the NU, I think, ready na sila.
Yeah.
And for me, it's time for me to move up. Kasi I've been in NU for how many years? 12 years. So
12 years in NU. So, grabe, life-changing talaga yung decision na yun. You're laughing, and I'm sure you understand why. Kasi buong high school life ninyo, you were actually going up against each other. How does it feel to be living yung sitwasyon na gano'n na, okay, we're gonna stop going against each other and finally teaming up to this new chapter. Pero how does it feel leaving that part of your life?
Syempre siguro, ang tagal din na talaga namin nagkalaban sa high school. So ngayon na magkasama kami sa pro, syempre masarap sa feeling kasi yung tipong hindi ko na kailangan siyang kalabanin kasi kasama ko na siya on the same side of the court. So masaya, magaan sa feeling.
Parang kami dapat magsabi na.
Ay, ganun ba?
No, but I'll let you talk about it din naman. Kasi I'm sure iba yung emotions that go through your that go through your mind and your heart, especially when you decide to move on from something so familiar with like NU and of course UST. How did you go through it personally?
Ako naman, parang yun nga, matagal na din kami sa NU. So, si Ian, nakalaban ko pa siya nung high school. Parang ngayon, ang sarap lang sa feeling na magiging teammate na namin siya ulit. Magiging teammate ko siya. And hindi ko na kailangan pa mag-isip kung paano siya babantayan. And yun, parang ready na din talaga ako na mag-move on talaga.
Of course, grabe, we're all about talking about moving on here, no? Pero I mean, you take a look at yung sitwasyon yung lahat. How much easier was it knowing that may kasama ka sa process na to? People that you actually know, people that you actually were with, going through yung entire high school and college lives ninyo, however long that might have been. Gaano ka-importante yun para sa'yo?
Siyempre, first of all po, though magkakalaban po kami, friends naman po kami outside. So, hindi naman po siya naging mahirap sa amin na nung first time namin magkita sa Chery sa training. Uy, nandito ka na, ganyan. Parang excited kami lahat. And yun nga po, excited kami lahat na matuto magkakasama. Tapos,
yeah. And Joy, we talk about yung leaving and being able to look back at yung career ninyo, especially in the college ranks. When you look back at yung career mo, how do you feel about it? How do you see it? How do you picture it?
Bago po talaga kami mag-college, yung target namin, kami as a team, is to make championship sa history po sa NU kasi 65 years before nila nakamit. And nung nakamit namin yun, parang for me, it's very fulfilling na may naiwan kami bago kami umalis sa NU.
Grabe, the level of NU really jumped leaps and bounds, especially sa batch ninyo. How do you feel knowing that yan yung legacy ninyo?
Hindi lang naman sa batch namin, kundi sa batch din ni Bella. So, ang sarap lang sa pakiramdam na before kami umalis is may naiwan kami ni Joymie and Jen na maganda sa mga bata. So, yun. Maganda naman yung exit namin.
Yeah. And of course, the two UST girls are now talking. So, what?
Sabi ko, ano nga ba yung ano natin dito?
Like, actually, iba yung tanong ka sana eh. No, but no. But when you talk about UST and of course leaving, grabe yung community ng UST. UST honestly have the most, I guess, the grabing supporta nila eh. Like yung Go Uste nga lang, as a Lasallian, I'm scared of it, okay? Pero when you take a look at the community that you're leaving, how was yung support nila? Knowing that, okay, you're gonna leave UST, but then they still want you to succeed as much as you can dito sa Chery.
Siyempre po, sabi ko nga kay Imee, yung binubulong natin doon. Kung sila championship sa atin, yung Sea of Yellow. Yung Sea of Yellow, yun yung medal natin. Na, kumbaga, sana, kahit wala na kami ni Imee or syempre, sa mga susunod na generation, sana yung Sea of Yellow mag-show up pa din kahit anong mangyari. And I know mag-show up sila. And ayun naman, leaving sa UST, naniniwala ako sa mga bata, para ang dating sa mga next generations talaga na kung ano man yung nasimulan na maipakita namin, kung paano namin ipaglaban yung school, yung UST, I know na alam nila at maipapakita nila yon sa mga susunod na UAP seasons.
Absolutely. And of course, I remember season 84, a bit of injury trouble, but you left on a high in season 85, able to, I think you tallied the most amount of points para isang middle blocker since Jaja Santiago back in season 80. How important was that, the fact that, okay, you left on a high individually, performance-wise, and left it all out para sa UST?
Siyempre po nung season 84, unexpected nga po na injure first game. So parang going to season 85, yung mindset ko po talaga is bumawi. And mapakita kung ano man po yung pinaghihirapan namin as a team and kung ano yung mako-contribute ko and maitutulong ko sa team. So parang, yun po,
yeah, it was a good way to leave it all out there, diba? Pero ladies, first of all, thank you very much for sharing about your past. But we're now going to talk about your future. And that's going to come after the break because we've got more with the super rookies of Chery Tiggo after the break here on The Game. Don't go away. big names have joined the roster of the Chery Tiggo crossovers. It's only a matter of time before we see them shine on the court. But before they start getting featured in the highlight reels, we are very fortunate to have them here today. Now, still with us are the super rookies, and use Joy Micagande, Ces Robles, and UST's Imee Hernandez and Laure. Ladies, thank you very much for staying on and not leaving us. We were talking a bit right before right during the commercial break na you're actually coming back to Chery. Last time was 2019, pre-pandemic. Obviously, the rules were different. How does it feel that you're going back to somewhere a bit familiar? Obviously, for many reasons, apart from the people there on the roster. Pero how does it feel that you're going to a familiar situation dito sa pro career mo?
Siguro dahil nakasama ko na sila, dahil previous team ko nga, Photon, tapos naging Chery, na nakasama ko din sila pandemic na habang nagpe-prepare for first conference ng PVL. So, syempre nandun na yung surroundings, yung teammates, yung owners, and yung coaches, na kumbaga, mafe-feel mo na din yung pagiging pamilya, na parang babalik ka lang din kung saan ka nanggaling.
Obviously, yeah, and syempre going back in that same situation, I'm sure it gave you a bit more confidence also with the entire situation. Joy, I asked you kanina, who recruited you? Who was the one who talked to you to be able to be part of Chery? I think for the both of you in particular, it says, Coach Aaron, there's a bit of familiarity there. For those who are not familiar with it, why are you so familiar with Coach Aaron?
Si Coach Aaron po kasi, siya yung assistant coach sa high school with Coach Babes. So, siya na rin yung nag-train sa amin during that time. Kasama na rin siya sa championship na nakamit namin before.
And syempre, with something familiar, with someone familiar, they're calling the shots. Did that encourage you more para to join Chery? And of course, how excited were you to actually join yung situation na yun?
Ako nga, yun nga, si Coach Aaron din yung kumuha sa akin. And parang yun nga sabi ni Ea, parang hindi na din iba sa amin yung mga coaching staff. Since nakilala din namin sila nung high school. Tapos, yung mga players din, parang, yun nga, sila Ate Mai, and yung iba naming mga teammates dati, nasa Chery din. So, parang, hindi din nag-iba sa akin kasi since college naman, family naman yung turingan namin.
Yeah, of course. And Imee, I want to know what you were whispering with Rhea there. Kasi naka-mic kayo eh. So medyo narinig din namin eh. But really, anong pinag-uusapan nyo, especially since we're now talking about how you ended up with Chery?
Siyempre po, si Coach A and yung coaches ko po sa UST. And then, siyempre, yung system and yung program nila para sa aming mga players nila.
If I'm not mistaken, you girls have already been training for the past 2 weeks or so. Yeah. Kumusta naman yung adjustment period? And of course, being able to build chemistry with new teammates?
Okay naman po kasi yung mga ates po namin, ginaguide po nila kami. And yun din po, nandun din po sa amin na parang eager din po kami na ipakita kung ano po yung talent na meron kami.
You mentioned it a while ago, very familiar kayo playing against each other, now having to learn to play with each other. You take a look at some of these girls here, what are you most excited to finally be on the receiving end of as a teammate as opposed to being an opponent?
Kumbaga, ngayon kasi nag-uusap na kami na, oy, Joyme, ito na yung set sa akin, gano'n. Ay, Joyme, pasensya na kung ganito yung receive ko, wait lang ha. Kumbaga, yung pagiging comfortable kagad, kahit ang tagal-tagal naming nagkalaban since high school, ngayon na on the same side of the court na nga kami, nagko-communicate na kami kung paano kami magtutulungan, kung paano manalo, gano'n. So, parang super happy talaga and magaan sila kasama.
Surreal ba yung feeling that you've only seen her from the opposite side of the net, almost yung entire career mo, and all of a sudden you're on the same side?
Yun nga, sabi ni Ea, sobrang nakaka-happy lang kasi yun, buong high school and college mo naman nasa kabilang court siya, kalaban siya namin. Swag-swag lang. And ngayon, sabay na kami mag-swag. Yun lang, masaya lang sa feeling na teammate na sila, magka-teammate kami ulit.
And Joyme, you take a look at yung buong team ninyo. Obviously, a good mix of veterans, a good mix of new blood, of course. Who has been helping the rookies out the most sa mga trainings niyo, trying to get adjusted to yung, I guess, this new brand of play that all of you have to get used to?
Yung seniors po, si Ate Mylene, Ate Pauline, sila po talaga yung nag-guide sa amin. Actually, lahat naman. Kasi ako, as a setter, lahat sila talaga nag-feedback sa akin. And for me, it helps me a lot kasi mas nagiging komportable ako mag-perform.
Di naman overload sa feedback na.
Kailangan ko i-handle.
Of course. And you take a look at this team right now. A lot of people are excited kasi grabe, the rookies that are coming in, adding new energy to the group, tapos the veterans out there are already proven that they can win at a very high level. How excited are you personally for everyone, the entire team, when you see them in practice, na grabe yung talent level ninyo, and how excited should the fans be next season para si Chery?
Masaya una kasi sa team namin, kumbaga makikita mo talaga yung hard work and yung intensity habang nagte-training, habang nagbo-ball training, and makikita mo talaga na bawat isa sa amin ready mag-absorb and mag-adjust yung makeup ng bagong system. Although, hindi naman talaga siya super bago since pinag-aaralan na din namin. Pinag-aaralan namin yung system dati pa. Pero alam mo yun, very excited kasi nga everyone's willing to contribute and to help the team na sa training pa lang, nag-show, pinapakita na din talaga ng lahat, ng bawat isa. So with the help of our seniors and kami na rookies, ready naman kami na kumbaga magtulungan. And sa darating na PVL, syempre, sabi nga namin, one step at a time, isa-isa lang, hindi namin mamadaliin. Kasi nga, kumbaga, ilang weeks pa lang kami nagsasama. So, trust the process lang at makukuha din yung goal na yan.
Alam ko, it's only been a couple of weeks na magkasama kayong lahat, but I cannot wait to see all of you girls in the Tyraflex again and see how Chery Tiggo looks like because they look like a very exciting team for the coming PBL. Maraming salamat. Good luck in the upcoming season and we can't wait to see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
So catch us here weeknights on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus next time here on The Game. I'm Paolo Del Rosario. Have a good night.